Welcome to Thunder Bay Live. I'm here today with Sylvie Hauth, first female deputy chief in Thunder Bay. Sylvie, first of all, welcome here.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to have someone from the police force. I want to say you're doing a great job in terms of what you have to deal with in Thunder Bay and the area. Sylvie, my first question, I guess, would be, you've been on the job about a month. How's it going? And how's it going?
It's going well. In some aspects, a bit of a steep learning curve, but so far so good. It's been busy.
And can you tell the people out there what got you interested in policing? Why did you go into policing?
My background, when I went to university, I did undergrad in law and justice, and actually at the time I was going to look at becoming a lawyer. And kind of looked at things and went, well, I'm not sure if that's for me. Then I continued on, got a master's in criminology. And I'm kind of a by-the-book kind of person, and I knew that for me a career would have to be something that's got rules, black and white, and thought that policing would be the best avenue for me. So I ended up coming to Thunder Bay and been here since.
Now, I'm going to ask you a question. As a female, being in a police force of mainly males, how's that in terms of having to deal with all these people, males in particular? How's that?
Well, we're definitely not the majority. In our force, we have I think we're up to about 35 female officers. Still room, obviously, to grow. It's not for everyone, and I mean, that's not just coming from a female perspective. The profession itself is a tough job. So you really have to have a passion for doing the work, both as a female and male officer. I'm a pretty tough cookie, so I think over the years I've been able to hold my own, and I've done well, and I enjoy what I do.
Well, obviously you're doing something right. You're deputy chief. That's fantastic. Sylvie, I'm going to jump into a few questions about the Thunder Bay itself. There's a lot of talk about in the Indigenous community, having sometimes difficulty dealing with the police. I know things have changed. Could you tell the people out there what the police force has done in the last couple of years to improve that relationship, to improve the force, what steps they've taken?
So we've worked, prior to being the Deputy Chief of Police, I was in Community Services branch, which within that branch oversees the Aboriginal Liaison Unit, our school resource officers, our beat officers, and it's really the branch that connects with the people on a day-to-day basis. From the Indigenous perspective, you can look at a full gamut of things that we've done. So for example, from within, our training has expanded. We have throughout the year academic day basically scheduled just for training purposes. And the content of our training in the last little while has included such things as diversity, Indigenous issues, looking kind of at the background in terms of residential schools, and kind of explaining some of the trauma and some of the things that throughout history have led us to where we are today, and looking at some of the issues that our Indigenous population is facing.
Now, I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, does the police force actually visit some of the reserves in the surrounding area?
That's correct.
Okay.
So we have a program, if you look at the inquest recommendation, that's kind of one of the recommendation is for us to expand our grade 8 program. So what it is that our school resource officers and our Aboriginal liaison officers look where the students are from, coming here to Thunder Bay for studying purposes, and we do a few times throughout the year a visit to the community. And what we want to do is talk to the kids, let them know what Thunder Bay is all about, give them some information in terms of what to expect coming to the city, and really giving them an overview of life in a big city as opposed to their smaller community.
Now, I'm going to ask one more question here. If I'm a person of Indigenous background, and I have an uncomfortable feeling reporting something to the police or coming in to deal with the police, is there somewhere I can go, something I can do to report a crime or to report an incident?
Yeah, there's a few different avenues. We partnered with a few years ago with non-legal services, and what they've done is they've wanted to act as an advocate, meaning that if people are comfortable coming to the Thunder Bay Police, they can go through non-legal and say, you know what, can you either come with me, or here's what I'd like to report, can you give me assistance and be there for me in terms of, instead of dealing directly with us.
Now, in the community itself, the police force has developed a lot of relationships with Indigenous groups. Could you comment on that a little bit?
Well, we've had different partnerships. I mean, I can give you a very specific example. A few years ago, we created our domestic violence unit, for example, and that was through a grant application, and that was a partnership that we formed with the Indian Friendship Center. So we worked in partnership with their programs, with their workers, in terms of developing our domestic violence unit, but also in terms of building those bridges in the community and those partnerships with other agencies so that people who are having domestic issues, family issues, have those resources accessible to them. And it's not just coming from a police perspective, it's coming from a more holistic approach, victim-centered, and kind of putting a new lens on it.
So obviously, you know, the police force is doing a lot and has done a lot to improve that relationship and keeps on doing things. It just doesn't stop.
No, it doesn't stop. And I mean, you can see, I mean, it's been 3 years now, for example, with our domestic violence unit. Our numbers, unfortunately, do keep increasing, but I think that speaks volumes in terms of people being comfortable now to come forward and say, you know what, the service is there, the personal attention to the issue is there, and people are feeling comfortable coming forward to report. So it's not good that there's more numbers, but I think it speaks to the fact that people are willing to come forward and talk about a private issue to the police so that it's dealt with.
I'm glad we're talking about this because I want the people out there to understand that, you know, the police have come a long way. I understand in the past certain things have happened. Sometimes there are things that happen with police and they're not all perfect like any other profession. And what happens when there is an incident where a police officer does step out of line, does do something wrong, like any other profession?
Right. Well, you're correct. I mean, we're a business just like any other business. We have 223 officers, and no agency, no government organization is perfect. You have good apples and you have bad apples. We do have very strict mechanisms in place for dealing with discipline issues. So any type of complaint, any type of incident that is brought to our attention is taken very seriously. It's fully investigated, and we have mechanisms in place to deal with that and to address it. And there are consequences.
Actually, and I won't comment too much, but I do know that even an officer off duty, if they do something on Facebook, Twitter, or make some comments or do something like that, they can still be disciplined.
Well, it's kind of the same as a doctor. Once you're a doctor 24/7. It's the same with a police officer. I mean, even if you're off duty, you're expected, if you see something on the street, to intervene. You're not going to turn a blind eye. So it goes the same to when you speak to your oath of office. It's because you're going to represent yourself in a certain way 24/7.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I honestly didn't know that. I don't know if the guy's on duty, then he's off duty. There's a difference.
No.
You're always on duty, sort of
Well,
thing.
pretty much your oath of office basically speaks to the fact that you will uphold the law and you are who you are 24/7. So that doesn't change.
Okay, I want to change the subject now, and I want to end on a lighter note, of course. Sylvie, what are some of the things you like to do, like hobby, to relax, enjoy life? What do you do when you're not a police officer?
Well, I mean, I spent a lot of time in school, so it's nice now to be a little bit away from the books. I work out at one of the gyms. I have 2 teenage daughters, so they keep me busy. It's just starting to drive, so I don't have to drive so much and be taxi mom, so that's a little bit better. But no, I'm still fairly engaged in the community. I still belong to a lot of groups, and I'm still very active in terms of the work that I do within our community, both on and off duty. So.
Now, do you get a lot of time off? I mean, at that position you have, I can imagine it'd be like, does your phone go off when you're at home or saying, hey?
Yes.
It does, eh?
Yes. So pretty much right now my phone is 24/7. So if there's anything quite urgent going on, then you can always reach me, basically. So.
Do you get a vacation?
I have vacation time. I'm hoping that I can book some time and yes, take some time away. So.
Well, if I can give you some advice, I would say take the vacation because you're going to need it, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Is there anything you want to say to the people out there about the police force, about yourself, that I haven't asked? Is there any kind of message you want to get across to them?
Well, I mean, I think right now, in the last little bit, people have seen that we have quite a lot on our plate, between the systemic review that we're doing and then the inquest recommendations. So there's a lot of steps that we're taking right now just in terms of, I'm trying to get my footing just in a new position, but also really refocusing on what that looks like in terms of the review, our next steps as an organization, and kind of what changes we're going to be doing and, how we're going to, I don't know if you want to call it rebrand ourselves, but really, put our best foot forward and see, what our next steps are going to be.
Well, I do notice that you're using social media, you're getting out there more, there's more interaction with the community. That's wonderful to see, first of all. I think that's great.
That will continue.
Okay.
That's a step we want to keep using. It's a very popular medium, and I think it's where we can reach a bigger clientele.
Well, you're reaching them. I know that because I always watch. Sylvie Hauth, first female deputy chief of Thunder Bay Police. Always a pleasure to have you. We're going to get you back here because it's only been 1 month, to be fair. So once some time has gone by, we'll get you back to give us an
Sounds
update
good.
of what's going on. Thunder Bay Live here at the studio. Keep watching. We have other interviews coming up with all kinds of people. Have a terrific day, Thunder Bay. Take care.